The Battle of Plassey marked the beginning of the end of the India's rural economy. To extract more income from land revenue, Robert Clive, the governor of Bengal, introduced the dual system of government. With the expansion of the British territories, the amount of revenue collections also increased, and land revenue became the biggest source of income for the British. This forced the company to adopt such policies that guaranteed maximum revenue collection on a regular basis. In this chapter, we are going to study the following concepts: British agrarian policies, impact of these policies, growth of commercial crops and peasant revolts, growth of commercial crops and peasant revolts, plantations. From the 1830s, British investors began to take interest in the cultivation of commercial crops such as tea, coffee, jute, indigo, etc., and to some extent sugarcane, cotton, oilseeds and cinchona in large tracts of land called plantations. The labor was very cheap, the cost of production was low, yielding very high profits. Plantations. Indigo cultivation by British merchants had begun in India in the 18th century. It was a plant required to make a deep blue dye, then essential for the textile industry. The Charter Act of 1833 granted the indigo planters ownership rights in land, and soon its cultivation spread all over Bengal and Bihar. Plantations. Tea industry developed in Assam, Bengal, South India and the hills of Himachal Pradesh during the mid-18th century. From the time of Lord William Bentinck, the government was keen to grow tea in Assam. Thus, the Assam Tea Company was established in 1839. Plantations. Jute plantation was another very profitable investment, as jute was required for packaging goods. Cinchona was cultivated for the quinine, which extracted from it was the sole cure for malaria, which was hitherto a life-threatening disease. The other important plantation crops were rubber and coffee. Peasant Revolts. The Indigo movement, 1859-62, was a peasant agitation against indigo planters who forced cultivators to produce indigo for the world market. Indigo was not a lucrative crop, as it was planted at the same time as food crops, and the soil lost fertility because of indigo. Hence, the peasants refused to grow indigo. But the planters, who had already invested huge capital in its production processes, were not able to withdraw their capital so quickly. As a result, they pressurized the indigo-producing ryots to continue its production. Peasant Revolts. The revolt of Payaks in Odisha under Jagbandhu, the commander of Raja Khurda in 1817, the rising of the Gujars under Bijay Singh Talukdar in 1824 in Kumayu and Garhwal, and the revolt of the Gumsur Zamindars in Gajanam district of Odisha, 1835 to 1837. From 1827 to 1830, there were many uprisings in Vishakhapatnam led by Zamindars as a protest against the harsh conditions imposed on them for non-payment of revenue. The one in Palkonda in 1832 was one of the most serious revolts. The famous Sannyasi Rebellion, 1770. In 1822, the Ramosi Revolt in Satara under Chittur Singh, the Gadkari Revolt, the Shaur Rebellion of Bihar and Bengal, 1796, were movements to oppose heavy load revenue assessment and revenue collection methods.